so now we've got our nice little report here. Okay, looking at it, we've got a nice little tidy statement of account for each of these. Okay, and so with a name and so forth, and so now we want to output it to a PDF. So we'll come over here to create the PDF, and this is exactly, or very similar, excuse me, I was going too fast. So to do that, it's very similar to printing, and so I won't spend a lot of time with it. If you get lost at this stage, just look at the printing video in Q&A. But we need to name the file that we want to output to. I've got this one here from my previous exercises of this, and then we don't want to do anything with this, the document profile, just a worksheet, and we have these over here. These are each of the pages of the broken out. Well, we don't want to actually have a PDF with all of the ER accounts all in one big report. This is just all we want on the PDF is just the individual accounts. And then over in page setup, just to sort of remind you how this is done, it might be nice, we've got a worksheet profile. This is just like we did in printing. Okay, and so we just call this temp or something like this. Any name will work. Okay, and this is where we can set our margins and all. And what I want to do is I want to have this at the top of my page. These are my preferences, at the top of the page in the top left. And here I could cut off the grid lines if I want. I think I will leave them on though, and I don't want any header or footers, okay, in the process. And so we'll do that. So we've created the profile, and now we need to apply it to all the pages. And if it looks like I went through that too rapidly, it's because we've covered in detail over in the printing video. And so we're all set, ready to go, and we'll go okay. And this is actually fairly rapid. And it will sit there thinking for a minute. And wait on it. There we go, and it is done. And so we're done with Q&A right now, and we can open Adobe Reader. Just take a look at what we've got here. And so here is the document that we just sent over, all 50 workers statement. Okay, and we have a very nice little arrangement here, and that one worker, one page equals one worker. Well, what we are going to do is use, I hope I can explain this carefully. There are two ways to break it apart. Okay, and what we're going to do is break this document into 50 separate PDFs, and then email each of those separate PDFs to the address written right there. So here is the URL right here, www.a-pdf.com, and we're looking at 3 software products coming from them. And the one that I'm going to show you first is a very simple one. It's called PDF Split. Okay, it will work just fine for what we're trying to do. And then I will show you PDF Content Splitter, which is a slightly different. And then we will look at the mail. Okay, let's see. The mail is PDF Alto Mail. So those are the 3 products. I think you could find almost anything you could imagine or want in this store of things. And so they're all fairly inexpensive. I think the PDF Split is $20, PDF Content Splitter is $40, and then the Auto Mailer is $40, I believe. Okay, but roughly. The split, in order for the auto mailer to work, it needs to have separate PDFs already. So the first thing we've got to do is split them into separate. Now the PDF splitter is the simplest, and what it does is it will break each of the PDFs out into a separate page. Okay, so let's just go ahead and see if we can't get this thing working. We'll go over to pick up this file, and it's a little bit complicated for me to get to, but I can do it. I have to be careful with all this experimentation because I'll end up with a lot of junk on my computer. But I'll navigate it to the file that we just created and we'll open it. Okay, and so we're basically taking this file and we want to process all the pages, and we have split methods here. Okay, well, we want the simplest. We want to split every page into separate pages. Okay, and it can do all kinds of things here. Every 2 pages or whatever, auto-define. I don't completely understand all of them, but right now this one works just fine. And we want to name it, and it's going to name it with the name of the big file here, test PDF, and part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Okay, and we want to put it into a folder, and I will tell you that we want to create a new folder to do this with. So here we can go back to the desktop. Here we go. We want all the new sheets in a separate folder. The next program will need them all in one folder, so that's why we've done that. And then so we go split. And now they've all been split, and if things have worked the way we expected, okay, we ought to be able to open the output folder, and there they all are split. This will work fine for what we're trying to do. Okay, this little $20 program splits them all out just like we want. Okay, I'd like to show you the second program that we can use to split. And before that first one that called email split, a PDF split works just fine and will work fine for our purposes. And so you might just say, well, I'm just happy with that. That works all I need. But let me show you this other one and see if it makes sense to you. Suppose you did used a print to PDF software instead of executive PDF printer. Okay, so you prefer to just print the PDF using your print to PDF software. What that would do is put one account on every page, but it would also put an account that is very long, maybe on 2 PDF pages. And so you want to split based on some other criteria. Instead of splitting the PDFs up based on page, you want to split on some other criteria. That's what this software does. And so let's look at that. So just make sure you're clear. Sorry to be repetitive. Suppose you want to split not one page, one PDF, but one account, one PDF. And that would be in the case where one account went into multiple pages. Okay, and what this program does is you create a rule that tells it how to print and you also, that rule tells it how to save the files that it has done. So I've got one here, and I've told it by looking right here, I clicked on my first page and I said, look in this field right here and cause the split to happen, okay, whenever it sees the text. Okay, so this split right here says when it sees Adventist Demonstration Business Unit to cause a split to happen. I've also told it on a macro tag, okay, here, I've told it to look right here and create a macro tag. Okay, so now let's go through what's going to happen. This thing is looking for that, and it will split whenever it sees those words, and then it's going to name right here. It is naming on that macro tag I've created. So it's going to split whenever it sees those words, and it's going to create the file name based on the macro tag that I set up, which will be that name there. So that's the rule. Now the rule may take you an hour to create, but you only create it one time for any similar project. So if you're doing ER accounts, and that's, you run the report over an executive and you run it over here, you don't mess with the rule every month when you're doing the report. Okay, and you want to keep your eye right down here, and you go split all, and you can see that it is creating all of those, and we've output them to this folder right here. It's important for you to output them to a specific folder. I'll show you why in a minute. And that is right here, so we'll open that, and you can see the names of the report going out for each one of the deal. And you see in this case we could easily have a 2-page account, and it's been handled correctly because it only split not at the pages but at the name. I think I've explained that to the point you can start getting bored. So the first one, page splitter, works nice and is cool as long as none of your accounts go to a second PDF page. If any go to a second PDF page, then when you split it in page splitter, then you've got this one right here. If you split it based on a page split, you will have messed up. And so content splitter will take care of an account that goes into multiple pages. So now we're ready to go to the third step. We have a folder here, okay, and let's just use it. Either one of these would work just as fine. This is the one where I've just done a page split, and this is the one where I've split with the name. Either one work fine. And so now let's open the final thing, and this is the auto mail. Okay, and I have disconnected my, for demo purposes, I have disconnected my machine from the internet so they don't automatically mail. And let me clear all this so we get a nice fresh start. And now we want to add the file. So here's the trick. Here's add folder. There it is. All right, so this is all of my emails, all of my PDFs. Okay, now if you remember, okay, so now I will come along here and I will go open the first one, okay, create a rule. It's working sort of the same logic we had before. So let's create a new rule, okay, and if it doesn't work quite right, you'll be patient with me. Okay, so I need to tag my data here. So I want this to be the email address I go to, and so I'll add to the mail to tag right there, and I go OK, and so there's picked up the right email address. And I could pick up a CC and a BCC tag, and I could put dear, okay, and then you work with this more and more, but I could put the name of the person in there, but since we're using last name first name, it's not going to work out very nicely, so I will just do greetings. Please check out the attachment, and that would be in your case here the accounting team. We serve a God who loves us, and let me just put Mac Tennyson here. and I could put in a standard attachment for everyone here without any problem, and we're ready to go. So that's the rule. Okay, let me give a new rule, name. All right, we can do that. And we've got it here, and we're ready for action. And we'll go ahead now. And so we've chosen the files, defined the rule, and we'll email. And we could do this for a selection. Okay, do this for a selection. If we're careful about, want to be careful, or we could do it for all of them. And so for the sake of a good demonstration, let's just do all of them. And we go email, and we can go and see. So I'm canceling because I have my email disconnected. Let's see here. And now it's making all of my emails for me. And it's sort of going to look a little bit bad because I'm not hooked up to the internet with my Outlook. I'm just using a virtual machine. But you just click here and click send on every one of them. You get a chance to review them, and you could see your attachment here is the right looking attachment. And so that's how you use the email program. Okay, now let's cancel the email, and let me take a little look here at the rules. One more aspect about the rules. Under this functionality right here, you can use a CSV. If you want to be a little bit more controlled, you can use a CSV for the address list. That is, if you're a little bit worried about this process of picking it up here, you could match the name of the file to a name in the list in a CSV spreadsheet, and then right beside it you would have the email address. So this would be a little bit more controlling. Okay, so that's the process there. And so we can just keep on going through this thing here, making our emails, running right through all of them. And basically you just keep clicking yes, yes, yes. I've never actually run it in a live environment, so whether it would automatically go if I were hooked up to the internet, I don't know. But that is automatically emailing PDFs. Okay. And in a minute, after I get reset up here, we'll look at another type of report situation if our preference is to send out Excel sheets. So thank you for listening, and just watch the next video on sending out Excel sheets.